Oh, that's so low. That was scary, guys. I'm scared. Good morning, YouTube. Today we're doing another review of a mouse. So as you can see on the table, today is the Atlantis Mini. Now, if you guys haven't watched the review for the original Atlantis, you should go watch that now. If you have, you will know that the Atlantis is my favorite mouse of all time. Not necessarily because of shape, but because of everything else they've done. So here we have the mini version. I like the OG enough that I just had to get this in as well and try it, so here we are. Also, the video today is actually 60 FPS, so I have been recording these using my phone. The preset default was 30 FPS, and I did not realize I could do 60 until today, so hooray, better FPS, higher quality video, pog. And also, happy Australia Day, or Invasion Day, or whatever you guys like to call it here. Today is a public holiday for us in Australia. It's supposedly the landing of the first fleet at Sydney Cove when the British came to Australia, so take it as you will. Anyway, hope you guys all have a great public holiday. So the details of this mouse doesn't really change. It costs $90 US. If you're in Australia, it's about $150. Same sensor and switches as the original Atlantis. So that is a Huano blue shell pink dot, which is apparently my favorite switch of all time because it feels the best that I've used. Side buttons have been improved as well, it does the same thing. It's a bit smaller and it's 49 grams this time instead of the original at 54, 55. So for the unboxing, same kind of premium Atlantis unboxing. Like, look at that. Oh, like this is how every mouse should come now. Like, this would have been in here with the like thing up the top, the receiver. Like, this is perfection. Like, I wish every mouse came like that. So you would have also had grip tape and additional skates, which I have put on the bottom. So this time the skate design is a bit different. We can talk about that later. And inside the premium velour bag, you have the cable, which is also in a plastic bag. So this once again makes it feel really nice. Little manual card. I can't be bothered pulling it out, but you can see there's a manual card thing in there, and also a dongle extender, which, by the way, this clear acrylic look is so nice. I wish every company did them like this as well. Like, I dig this kind of stuff, right? Also, things like the Pulsar's Bruce Lee one. Like, this one's also really nice, but this is real cool. So that's really it for the unboxing. Not much changed. Some writing up the top, you know, standard LAMZU stuff. Previously, I had the black version. This is the white version. Black version coating is better, but not to say the white coating version is bad. This is actually really nice as well. I still use grips, so stick the grips on. Unfortunately, no core pad grips are available for this year because the mouse is too new. Neither are the core pad skates, but I assume they'll come out real soon. However, if you guys do like better coating, make sure you get the black version when they come out. So sensor placement, as usual, excellent. Works perfect, $33.95. Not much more to say there. Same thing as the OG. So clicks, I feel like these clicks are perhaps even a little bit better than the OG. So the OG was really nice and crisp. This is also really nice and crisp, but it's a tiny bit lighter, I think. I don't have the OG on me right now. I lent it to a colleague, but just from memory, I was preparing for it. I was like spam clicking that thing for a few days. This feels a little bit better. It might be because the click itself is smaller. If you go watch some other reviewers, I think Boardsy said something about them changing stuff inside a bit, so it's even better. But either way, these clicks, super nice and crisp and lightweight. All I can say, this is my favorite click of all time. So another thing is, like, this is still mechanical. I think if you want optimal performance, the opticals are still better. I tried a bit of a click thing with the Bruce Lee, which had the opticals in it, and I swear it felt just a little bit more responsive when I was clicking down, but I could be placeboing. I can't confirm or deny that, but these clicks definitely feel better. So weight distribution is also excellent. Slightly back heavy as to be expected of this shape. Nothing special there, just a little bit back heavy. Nonetheless, 49 grams, this thing is super light. Not every mouse benefits from perfect weight distribution, right? Some you prefer slightly back heavy, especially on a mouse like this, because the back has a hump for a reason. It's there for stability. Added weight on the back also adds for that. It allows the front to be lighter and easier to micro adjust, which is pretty much what the claw grip design is for. So the weight distribution is perfect for what it is. So I'll move on to skates. Stock skates would have came in 4 corners. If you guys know me, I hate 4 corners, so I put these on. There was also an issue I was having before, so I was trying to see if these replacement ones fixes the issue. So they actually made a change on the skate design where the back here is actually bigger than the OG. So what I did was, as soon as this came out, I brought out the core pads that I had for the OG Atlantis, and I was like, oh, can I put these on? And the answer is yes, I can put these on, because the front is the same, right? So the front part here and this one is the same. The center is also kind of the same. I think maybe this one's a little bit bigger. I could be tripping. But the back, as you can see on the Mini, is actually bigger than the OG. So the OG had only this little bit. The back one on the Mini is bigger. So bigger skates and smaller mouse. What does that mean? Better stability, which is great, because the OG Perhaps one of the only flaws with the OG was that it had stability issues, and this significantly fixes the OG issue because you have now more contact area, you have a smaller and lighter mouse in general, so it's not going to wobble as much because it's a lot more stable. You can use the OG aftermarket skates on the Mini because the OG skates were smaller, so you can stick those onto the Mini ones. That's up to you. These are the replacement ones that came with the mouse. LAMZU skates are the best stock skates I've tried, period. No doubt in my mind. Like, I wouldn't even consider buying aftermarket skates immediately. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. Moving on to shape. This is still an Atlantis shape. The reason why this is now better is because it should fit 95% of the population's hands. The previous Atlantis was far too big. On the Atlantis, the hump on the back is super wide, especially if you look at it from this point of view. This part is much bigger than the rest of the mouse. This is really palm filling, this whole area, what's supposed to be. So on the Atlantis OG, that thing was way too big to fit for majority of the people. I personally, at 21x12, still felt that the OG Atlantis was a bit too big. Back hump width is now perfect. It should fit most people now instead of being too wide, too big. Other than that, that's about it really. The smaller size means that it fits everyone. Lightweight, good specs, shape should fit majority. That's perfect, right? They've done a great job here. Now we'll move on to the only complaints I have about this mouse, and that's not even a Mini issue. That's an issue that also applies on the OG. The Mini tried to fix some of these issues, but it's still present a little bit. With the design of the Atlantis, what elo shape diagrams show you is that the widest and tallest part of the mouse, right? They don't show you what the mouse actually is like. Because from the front, it's going to be this wide, but the bottom is narrower because there is an inward curvature here. Made for your fingers, so there's an inward curvature here. It's a bit less prominent on this, I feel like, but more so on the OG. And what actually happens is when you pinch the mouse from the sides, that causes upwards force, right? Upwards, because the slide is sloped. It's not sloped in the middle and then flares out the middle, so you're grabbing only towards the center. What you actually do is like you push slightly upwards because your hand is on an angle. So I'll draw up some paint diagram and show you guys on the side of the screen here, but that is a flaw. So what happens is when you do a movement towards the side, you're really easily to lift the mouse from the side and do a flip. That's the thing that happens because of the curvature down the side here. That's a up-down vertical curvature issue, right? Now from the front back curvature issue is that shape is an hourglass. You can't tell from the top, but you can from the front, where the front of the mouse is wider than the center and then the back is the widest, right? An hourglass shape. Now the problem with that is because the center is narrower, the mouse forces you to grab towards the center if you're holding it as it is intended. With that, it means you get forced into an aggressive claw because that's where the curves are, the middle of the mouse. The thing about an aggressive claw is that you'll likely grab really hard. That's more force towards the center, which in conjunction with the upwards lifting force that could be generated, you won't notice it, but a lot of the time as you move towards the sides, you're likely to get some lift off, right? Some very bad stability issues. Now it's fixed a lot more on the smaller mouse because in general, on the smaller mouse, it's easier for you to hold and deal with in your hand. Also that I feel like the curves are less aggressive down the sides here compared to the OG, but overall, like that in itself is still going to cause a stability issue in some cases. So the Mini does it a lot better than the OG, not just because of size, but also because it has the bigger skates now. So the relative width of the parts that you're grabbing is now much smaller relative to the size of the skates because the contact area remained the same, but the overall mouse became smaller. So you're less likely to get that wobble as you did on the OG, but nonetheless, it still exists a little bit. The other design issue that I have with this is I wish they can somehow swap the skates around. So put the smaller one on the back, put the bigger one on the front. Because what happens is when we grip a mouse and we click down, right, we're putting a lot of pressure towards the front of the mouse, and that is likely to do this. So for me, especially when I'm holding this, the reason I can bypass the hourglass grip issue that I was talking about is by grabbing literally the front end of the mouse. Because it's so small, for me to get a proper palm push down the bottom, I can literally hold the mouse by its front, right? I dodge the curvature area because my hands are super big for this. So I actually played with the mouse when I was playing with it like that, at the front where it's on the flat end, not at the curved end like you should. The shorter mouse also means that my fingers have to be placed as far forward as possible, like on the edge of the click. I don't have a choice, otherwise I'm curving way too hard, right? So I end up playing with a grip like this, kind of like I'm literally on the end of the mouse. It's kind of like a palm, but I can't even palm this mouse properly, so it's actually like a claw. And now the issue with that is the front of the mouse isn't super flat, it's kind of curved down. So what happens is when I put pressure towards the tip of the mouse, it's likely to lift up on the back. So unless you can somehow get really good contact on the palm to hold it down at the back, your mouse is likely to do a little tilt inside your hand. And that tiny bit, even though you don't realize it, like you don't feel it in your hand, it just feels in your hand, right? But that tiny little lift of the back can cause the front end here, the edge of the base plate to dig into the mouse pad, and you get lots of like base plate scratching. Right, this happens. If you don't really press down into a mouse pad, or if you guys use not Artisan X Softs and things like that, if you use harder pads, you won't have this issue. But on this X Soft Otsu, I do get that issue when it digs down a bit too much and I get base plate scratching. Might not be an issue for you, is an issue for me, especially because as soon as I click down super hard and press into the mouse pad. So this applies no matter what game I play. In games like Overwatch and whatever, it's easier to control because as soon as I realize, oh, I'm pressing down too hard, I have time to readjust and lift it off a little. I won't instantly just die. But playing things like Valorant, like as soon as I click down and I start scratching base plate and I miss the tracking, they turn around, give me a shot in the head, and I'm gone. Instant TTK, that was super important. I don't have time to recorrect myself. Only over time can I adjust to pressing down lighter, which I have yet to do. That is the only flaw that I can think of. If you flip the skates around, it'll be a lot smoother and bigger on the front and less likely to cause that flipping. That's one thing that the Pulsar X2s did really well, which is why I like them so much, is that the skate in the front is the bigger one, the smaller ones on the back. As you can see, the size difference here is quite significant. Even though this is the regular X2, I'm pretty sure the Mini uses the same skate size as well. I don't have an X2 Mini here to compare for you guys, so I can only use this regular. But obviously the regular X2 feels a lot bigger. I think, honestly, the hump feel at the back of the mouse is really the same, right? It's more so the center and the front end of the mouse that are different. You'd be surprised how palm feeling the back of the Atlantis is. Now, do I recommend this mouse? 100%. I feel like this mouse is probably better than the X2 Mini. I don't have the Mini on me, but just based off experience, this might be better than the Mini. I'm still going to main the X2 because this just works better for me. I do wish once they finally make the X2H, I think that's the only mouse that will replace the X2 for me. This shape just works too well. But all in all, Atlantis Mini is definitely better than the OG. It fixed a lot of those issues. It works for more of the population. Everything about this mouse is just premium. Like, if you guys don't have a LAMZU Atlantis, you haven't gone through this unboxing, unpackaging, seeing everything they give you kind of experience, like, you're missing out, right? If you guys like mice, you need this. The mouse is one thing, this is another, and this is something that is unique to LAMZU. No other company has done something like this, right? Everyone else is boring. Everyone else is so boring on their packaging. No one puts in the effort. Like, the premium feeling of the LAMZU packaging is just unreal. And it's literally only $90 US, 150 Australian. It's like one of the cheapest mice on the market. Has top tier specs, build quality, everything about it is just so perfect. Aside from shape and skates, which is the subjective thing. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. If it works for you, it works right for you. But this stuff is different, right? This stuff, like, every company should hold this to their standards. If you're not doing this, I don't know what you're doing. Buy it. This is essentially as close to perfection of a smaller, medium-sized mouse as possible. This is recommended for, I would say this is more so proper medium, right? Smaller hands can get used to this, larger hands can get used to this, but overall, I think this, even though it's a mini edition, is designed for the perfect, normal, medium-sized hand, which, in my opinion, is something like 18, 19 times like 9 or 10, something like that. So if you have a normal hand, this is it. Probably ideal. Make sure you guys buy one of these, watch the OG review for more. Thank you guys.